Hey troops, Roxy here and welcome to Roxee Plays Games and welcome back to another episode of Farming Simulator 19. But before I get into the rest of the video, I want to do my usual thank you. So thank you for everyone who has liked my previous videos and thank you for everyone who has subscribed to the channel. Right, what are we doing today? Well, it is currently nearly 7:45 in the morning. We've had breakfast and we are ready to do some work. So I left you last episode where we had harvested field 62, so that is now ready for us to reseed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you how the cultivator works. It's really simple. I probably don't even need to show you, I could probably just explain it, but I'll just show you anyway. And then we are going to fertilize it. We're going to seed it with our seeder and then do a second layer of fertilizer to bring it up to 100% fertilization. What are we going to fertilize it with? We are going to use this machine here. This is actually a crop protection, I think it's classified as. Let me just double check. Yeah, crop protection. So rather than using the fertilizers, what I don't like about these, and I'm not saying they're bad, it's just me personally what I don't like about them, is the way it works is the fertilizer's up here, it drops onto these spreaders here. They're like little discs with little bits sticking out, and it basically flings the fertilizer around the field. Obviously it's great, it's compact, but the problem that I find is, let's say the edge of where it's going to spread to is this area. You can't see it until you start spreading it, and sometimes you might end up going off too far or not far enough. What I prefer using is this one of these machines here. I find these a lot better because the arms sort of like spread out a little bit like a transformer, and then the spray drops from the bottom. So this is predominantly used for weed prevention, but we can put fertilizer in it. So that's what I have here. We'll get to see that in action. I've done a couple of things on the server to kind of bring things on a little bit, and not too much. First thing I've done is I've added in this display here so we can see what's in the silo. So I know we can come up to here, we can come into this menu, we can see what's going on here, but for speed, for quickness, at a glance, I can come to this and go, right, I need X amount of this and this, or oh, I've got loads of this, I'll go and sell that. So it's really easy to see, and as we can see from our last harvest on the barley field, I've got 11,500 litres of barley and just over 44,000 litres of straw. We have a capacity of 900,000 litres in this particular map, which is really cool. We can increase that by adding in extension silos, but I don't think we need to do that on this map. Right, so that's that. Oh, I've added in this. We've added in a pressure washer for cleaning our equipment. I've actually put it next to the repair bay because it kind of made sense. We can come here, do any repairs we need, do a bit of cleaning, put the machine away. So that's that. And then the final little bits I've added in is these things down here. What are these for? Well, if excuse me, if we want seed or fertilizer, you would normally go up to the shop with your seeder or fertilizer, buy a crate, fill it up, drive it back down, or you'd buy a bunch of them and bring the crates down and then fill it up from the crates. It's quite time consuming. Bearing in mind I would have to go from here, drive along the road all the way up into the town, up into the shop, purchase something and then bring it all the way back down, and it's just time consuming. It's wasting it's wasting petrol driving up there to come back again because we can't get it delivered. So I've added in these, and basically what I've done is I've got the council to come down and install a seeder and a liquid fertilizer, and they'll come and keep these topped up as and when they're needed. So I don't have to go anywhere. I can just literally come along here with my seeder and fertilizer, fill them up, and jobs are done. And I put it in light for when it gets dark. So we are going to get this field done now. I'm not going to go through a full cultivation on the field. There's absolutely no requirement, simply because it doesn't need it. So I'm not going to waste my whole time cultivating it. I will just quickly show you how cultivating works, what it does to the field, so that you can see for yourself. So we'll grab our trusty tractor, our little John Deere here. These will be getting upgraded as and when we have the money and the need to, but at the moment it's not a real big requirement. We'll attach our little cultivator here. So cultivators and plows are very similar, they look quite similar, and I'm no farming expert, but from my understanding a cultivator just basically changes the crop state, so that there's no crop state, and a plow changes the underground of the crop. So let's say you've ploughed in, or you've harvested in, not harvested, seeded in potatoes or onions, something like that, a root crop. They will need to be ploughed out so that you can then reseed. If you want to create a field, you will need a plough. But if it's just like a grain type of crop, then I believe you can just come along with your cultivator. You can use a plough as well, but you can just use your cultivator. You literally just drop it down, drive along like this, and it turns it out like this ground. So it's already been done. I didn't want to obviously waste a whole 15 minutes or so. I think it took me, not even that, probably about 10 minutes actually, of me driving around here showing you how to cultivate. So cultivating and ploughing is pretty much the same thing. You just literally, like I say, drop these blades into the ground. Cultivating does kind of the top layer, ploughing does a little bit deeper. From my understanding, like I say, I'm no farming expert, but because I've got periodic ploughing off, it means I don't have to plough every third harvest. I will only need to do a harvest if I'm changing it from like a root vegetable into a grain, or if I want to create a field. Right, so wrong way. So let's go and park this baby up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get our fertilizer. We're going to top it up with some liquid fertilizer, and then we're going to fertilize the field. That won't take long at all because this is quite wide and it's only a small field, so I'll show you the whole of that, and then when it comes to the seeding I'll just do a little bit on camera and then I'll do the rest off camera to save you the pain. Like I say, this is just a quick tutorial on showing you how to cultivate, fertilize and seed a new crop. But like I say, I'm not going to go through the whole field showing you how to cultivate. It's really simple, straightforward, and you can see that that's how the field looks. And if we jump down here, we can see there's no, it doesn't show any crop state. If you remember at the last of the video, we looked at it and it said harvested barley, and obviously before we harvested it, it said ready to harvest barley. And it also gives you a fertilization state of like 50% or 100%. Well, it's fertilized at 0%, so it's got no fertilizer in here, and it's got no crops whatsoever. So that is all good to go. So we just need to extend this out. I need to move over this way a little bit because it's quite wide. And then we'll zip round the field. And do some fertilizing. Now, little tip for you with fertilizer compared to seed. When you're seeding something, it will just plant the seed wherever it can, but it won't go over the same crop again. If you reseed a different crop, you can reseed over a crop. So let's say you've got barley down and then you put wheat in your seeder, you can go over the barley and turn it into wheat. But it won't plant wheat on wheat or barley on barley, etc. So there's never any wastage. With fertilization, manuring, all that sort of stuff, because it's spraying it, it will spray it regardless of whether it's been fertilized, whether it's grass or whatever. So if I was to put fertilizer here, it will fertilize it, it will come out of the tank, even though I'm not actually using a fertilizer on that bit. If I was to come up here fertilizing and then drive backwards fertilizing, it would still spray over where I've already fertilized. So basically what I'm saying is you can easily waste a lot of fertilizer if you're not careful. Now if you've got lots of money to throw away, that's fine, but if you're a little bit tight on a budget, then you want to be a bit cautious, and it's better to leave gaps than it is to kind of go over the same area multiple times. And it's not too easy to see, but you can just about see a difference in the colour from like a lighter to a darker brown where the fertilizer has gone over. So we're just going to zip around this field. Like I say, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to do this because it is quite a small field. Now you are going to have overlaps and whatnot, you can't really avoid it, but just try and do your best to have minimal wastage if you can. Just my little tip for you anyway. I mean, it'd be pointless having half of this in the field next to me, because that wouldn't be getting fertilised, and I'd be wasting that half of the length of the fertiliser getting nothing done. And obviously we don't have an awful lot of money. 270,000 might seem like a lot, but it really isn't. I could quite easily spend that on one tractor or one harvester. So yeah, you want to when you start the game off, be on a bit of a budget, be cautious of where you're spending your money. Only buy stuff that is needed. Like the fuel bowser, some people may say it's not needed, but the amount of money that costs over time, long time, obviously not initially, but over a long time, that's good. I'm going to end up saving that money from multiple journeys, because it's not just this that I would need to drive up to refuel, it's everything I drive I'm going to have to refuel at some point. So driving up once with a fuel bowser, filling the fuel bowser up and probably getting multiple refuels off it on all of my vehicles, compared to obviously having to drive up. I'm not only saving fuel, I'm also saving time. And when you're playing on your own, time is quite essential because you haven't got anyone helping you do what you're doing. So it's quite important that you obviously think about these little things. Right, can we go forward please? Thank you. Right, let's do this last little patch here. I know I've missed a little bit there, but I'm not too fussed. Right, so that is the first. Oh, press the wrong button then. I meant to press the fold button. There we go. So that's the first stage of fertilization done. So if we just quickly jump out now, see it says 50%, so that's halfway there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the fertilizer just here on this. Matter of fact, I'll show you how to fill it up as well while I'm here. I've got enough to do the field again, but I'll just quickly show you. So the fertilizer is this bigger one, and all you do is come along. You need to open up the side filling up pouch, so that just opens up. Press the button, it fills up, and then you can close that back down again. So this is ready to go. What I will do is I'm going to drop it off here, because we're going to need that for the second stage. And you do your second stage of fertilization, you can't just go over the field again because it'll just still stay on 50%. What you have to do is you have to seed it. That will then put the field into state 1, the first stage of growing, and that's then when you put your second stage of fertilization down. Now you can get seeders that have fertilizers on them as well, and we will be upgrading to one of them later on in the series. A bit bigger, obviously costs a bit more money, but it's going to get stuff done a lot quicker, providing you've got the tractor to pull it. Because that's got fertilizer on it, what you would do is you would do your fertilisation like we've done now, and then you would go through with your seeder, and it's going to give it the second stage of fertilisation at the same time. It's important you do it that way around. If you go around with the seeder first, it will give it the 50% first. You would then have to do the second stage of fertilisation when the field is in stage 2, because it would be, you couldn't do it straight after seeding it, because it's already in stage 1. When it's seeded, as soon as you put the seed down, it's in stage 1, it's getting fertilized at the same time, so you then have to wait until stage 2. And obviously with stage 2, and if you've got crop destruction on, you're going to ruin the crop, so you would need to have skinny tires on your tractor so you didn't damage your crops. Right, so seeding, really simple. Drop your seeder down, turn it on, and then drive along. Now what you can do with these, which is kind of cool, not really practical or relevant for this particular one because it's so small, but when you've got wider ones, is you can put these, what they call ridge markers, down. So if I was to put a ridge marker down here, drive along, it leaves that mark in the ground, so then I know that's the, and each one's going to be slightly different. Some of them are further apart, so you would use the front of your tractor to drive in the ridge, because this is quite a small one. The idea with this one is you drive with your left hand wheel in the ridge, and the seeder will cover the little gap that's in between your wheel and the ridge. I'll show you that as we go around. So that's a kind of a cool little thing. I personally don't use it with this particular seeder because it's so small you can pretty much just drive on the edge of the wheel if you're in this view anyway. We'll do a lap or two and then we'll fast forward and get this done. So as I come along here now, so what I would do is drive with my wheel in the ridge like so. You can probably pretty much see it like this. And like I say, you can get the bigger ones because the seeder is wider. The ridge would be further out, so you would be driving along pretty much like this with the front of your tractor, the little pointy bit in the ridge, so then you know that you're in the right spot. But this one we just drive along, but like I say, I don't really bother. Certainly with most seeders I don't really bother, to be honest, because you can kind of, when you're in this view, it's really easy to see if you're on the edge. But what I'm going to do anyway is I'm going to finish off this field. I think you got the idea of how to do seeding, fairly straightforward. Obviously what I didn't show you, you need to make sure that the crop is the correct one. So if I just turn this off, if you press Y, I'm pointing with my finger like you can see me, down the bottom right hand side, just above those green marks, it shows you the crop that we're seeding. So we're actually seeding wheat. So we had barley down, we're going to do wheat. The next crop's going to be oats. That's the 3 grains that gives you straw. But when we come to doing the oats, I'm not going to do a whole video on that. There's no requirement. I think you'll have an idea of how to do seeding, but we'll just get that into the silo and then we'll move on to the next type of crop. But yeah, you just press Y to rotate through the various different crops. So just make sure that you got the right one on there before you start seeding, otherwise you're going to have to go around again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly get this field done, and then I shall bring you back once it is completed. Alright guys, so that is the field all seeded. I'm just going to I started filling this back up and I thought, oh right there, I need to show you guys how to actually do this. Really simple. So similar to the fertilizer, you need to open up the little filling bit, press the button, fills it up fairly quickly, and then close it back down. and then that's that done. So yeah, field all seeded. It's had the first stage of fertilization down. What we need to do is put the second stage of fertilizer down, so we get 100% fertilization. That gives us maximum amount of crops that we can get from our next harvest. There is a percentage decrease if you don't do that, and if you have things like periodic ploughing on, lime requirement and all that sort of stuff, that will obviously affect your return in the harvest. So it's important that you make sure that that's all done. So as you can see, this is ready for fertilizing. So what we're going to do is we're going to zip around this field and get this up to 100%. Cool. Right, that's all finished. Let me just quickly, probably should have done it while I was here. But now if we go into the field, you can see fruit type wheat, it's growing and it is at 100%. So we'll get maximum return on that. So I'm just going to park this up, just refilled it back up with a liquid fertilizer. Like I say, this isn't the only way to do things. There's a million and one ways to skin a cat, as the saying goes. I'm sure the experts out there will have a better method, but what I want to do is to show you how I do things, and obviously how you can do things if you choose. But once you've been playing things, I would definitely recommend having a play around with different bits and pieces. Obviously save the game before you do anything drastic, so you don't go and ruin the game and break it. Just lock that away in there. Yeah, definitely give the game a quick save. But best thing to do, try different things out. See which cultivator and plow you prefer, what seeder you prefer, whether you like using this type of fertilization tool, or you want the proper fertilizer that kind of flings it out everywhere, or a manure or slurry spreader. And then obviously when it comes to combining, different types of combiners, there's so much you can do in this game. And that's what I love about it. It's not a one hat fits all. There's lots of different ways, like I said, to skin the cat. Lots of ways you can play this game. Lots of ways you can do all the different things. Some things will obviously be a little bit more restricted than others, but as a whole, you do have choices, and there's billions of mods out there that give you more options as well. But I'm going to call it an end of an episode on this one. That's basically showing you now how to do all the different things that you need to do on a field. We've done a whole harvest. We've now come on to fertilizing and seeding on the field. Showing you a few extra mods that you can add in to obviously make things a little bit better for yourself. But other than that, what I'm going to do now is call it an end of an episode. Next episode, I think I did say we were going to probably do bees, but we might do chickens first. We'll just see how that goes. But yeah, be good, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.